What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Dad's Life Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Flack 2.0, coming at you in the studio here in the new studio. Again, we just got done moving and we're settled in. So coming at you from the new studio, live here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Sean Flack. If you want to check us out, you can check the podcast out recorded live. Go ahead and twitch.tv/Sean Flack. Hit that heart button to get notifications when we go live. You can find me on Twitter. That's at Sean Flack. Obviously, you can find me on YouTube, Sean Flack 2.0, and of course, Facebook, Sean Flack 2.0. Any questions, comments, emotional outbursts for your host? Don't be afraid to hit me up on any of those socials. Again, for anybody that's here live in the studio with me, thank you for joining in on this live studio audience. I got Stealth King 500 in the house. Want to go ahead and give him a good old shout out. Go ahead and, Wolves in the house. He's part of the stream team I'm part of here on stream. That's going to be on Twitch. And that's the Shadow Pack Gaming Network here on Twitch. Thank you, Stealth, for coming and joining here on our live studio audience. And I'll make sure, since he did join in on our live studio audience, if you are listening to the podcast, head down into the description below. You'll see his information there. Again, he's one of the streamers, part of the stream team here on Twitch. All right, so in today's episode, we are going to be talking about, again, being a dad, talking about that dad advice. The advice from the dad. So, dad advice. It is November 27th, 2020. We're still in the midst of a COVID outbreak, and there's a lot of crazy things that are going on in the world right now. We're in transition here in the United States, transitioning from one president to the next. And, some of our states have gone into lockdown. Some of our cities have gone back into lockdown due to a COVID outbreak. And so, again, it's a crazy time. And today's topic kind of hit me as I was talking to some of my coworkers, and it's about mental health. And if we can't stress it enough here as like being streamers, mental health is a very, very real thing. Not only with dads and moms and parents, providers, each individual has their own set of, mental health problems. Let it be big, small, rich, poor, mental health doesn't discriminate no matter who, what, where, creed, culture, whatever. So, you'll hear a lot of the streamers talk about mental health. We'll talk about, a lot of times what we do when we stream is we reach out to communities that we wouldn't normally have access to. And we build out our community and deal with our mental health there. So again, shout out to the Shadow Pack Gaming Network here on Twitch, because that's my online community that, helps me with my mental health. So kind of going into that again, being that dad, I'm going to talk about my job a little bit, and not specifics, because I'm not trying to throw nobody under the bus or nothing like that, but just jobs in general. And, currently I've been at my job for 14 years, and I'm very blessed to have my job. It's a very good job. And I just kind of came to a realization these last couple months that I don't love it as much as I used to. And not in necessarily a bad way, but in a way that, kind of opened my eyes to where I am, mentally, where I am, emotionally. And, want to share this with you guys tonight to kind of give you that, that perspective that maybe you're feeling the same way, but you don't necessarily know that you're feeling that. So yeah, I love my job. It kind of fell into my lap. I was working retail for so long, and, somebody kind of came in and I noticed they spend a lot of money. Right. So I asked, hey, man, you from the town, I'm from the town. If you from the town, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I said, hey, man, put me on your team. What's going on? And, he opened up his shirt, he said, I work at such and such. And, we kind of asked him a couple more questions about it. Went online, went to go apply. And 6 months later, I was, had the job. And I love the job. And if I look back, there's so many things I do love about the job. And then I have to think about, what happened? Because here I am 14 years later, and I don't love it anymore. And then I had to come to this realization that I the job was all I had. You know, all my friends, and I had my family, my small close knit family. A lot of my friends, a lot of my socialization was at my job. And I loved it because I love going to work because I get to see the people and talk to the people that I love talking to. So, I had like this real love for the job, this real enthusiasm as I went to work. But then I come to find out, I had to realize that that's all I really had was work. And, I want to say I was at my job for like 7 years, still kind of had ups and downs with it, still loving it, loving what I did. Um, and then it kind of hit me that I kind of started realizing that I didn't like it as much. And I think it kind of hit me because, again, all I had was my socializations and my community while I was at work versus having more for myself outside of work. We talk about balance here on the channel all the time, and achieving balance and how we achieve balance is very important. And so, um, not realizing that the job was all I had and that's why I loved it, it kind of threw me off. Like, why don't I love it anymore? Well, around my 7th year there, I started dating my wife. And she obviously, in my job, I had one of those jobs where you usually date somebody you work with because what we do is not necessarily relatable to anybody outside of our profession. So when we talk about our problems or anything like that to anybody that's outside of our profession, they don't understand it. So when we sit there and it sounds almost like a cop, like cops date cops, and I'm not a cop. Nothing against cops. I actually wanted to be a correctional officer once upon a time. But it's like that same mentality. So you build connections with certain people. Sometimes they're just major friendships. Sometimes they're relationships, romantic relationships or whatever. But it's like one of those things. And I started dating my wife, and I started building a life outside of work. I had my son, my wife. She didn't work there. So then I started kind of pulling myself away from the job. And then I started finding it was annoying to have to go to work, because I didn't want to go there because my favorite people, either they moved on and got other positions or they worked in different departments or they got promotions. So my favorite people were no longer there. And, then I wanted to spend more time with my wife and my son. And now here I am 14 years into the game, and I'm realizing within these last couple of months when mental health has been a big issue, has been a big, not necessarily issue, but it has been the forefront of people, feeling certain ways, alone, isolated, depressed, restless, they're feeling, what are other words, picked on, they're feeling like their liberty is being infringed on or their freedom is being infringed on, just a lot of high intensity emotions about what's going on. And I know a lot of people that have streamed about it, have used streaming as a medium to break out and of that isolation feeling because now they have that community that they could go and talk to. So they look forward to getting up and jumping into their discords and seeing who said what and seeing who ate what and who spent time with who and stuff like that, because that was that outlet, that was that core thing, right? Well, as I kind of started doing that with my own job, I went from loving it, being super enthusiastic, to feeling like it was annoying or a burden to go. And not because of the fact that the job changed or I changed. It's just that at first all I had was my job. And now, obviously getting older, married, kids, a lot of the where I want to be, where I want to live and spend most of my time is with my family, which is not at my job. So it's not necessarily personally at my job or it's changed or I don't like it no more. It's just my priorities have changed. And that's where we want to get to in our discussion tonight, is finding that balance. And, for those of you that love your job, I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that enthusiasm that you have going to work and, being around those people and stuff like that. But, I lost that. And not because the job changed, but people moved on. Not saying I don't work with some great people, but at the same time, my favorite people were no longer available to me there. And I was spending more time and wanted to prioritize myself away from my job. And so coming to realize that, as mental health becomes more and more straining with, these times of COVID, that your mental health is more important than your love for that job. And I want to stress this as much as I can to anybody out there, especially us dads. Our biggest pressure is for us to be providers, for us to go to work, to bring home the bread, come home, help the household, all these different things. And there's a lot of stress that comes with that. There's a lot of mental strain that comes with that. But we got to find that balance. And that's where I'm headed. Finding that balance, yes, I want to spend more time with my family, which is a good thing. Then I realized that my job is going to replace me the minute I get sick or I die, So if I'm not taking care of myself and taking care of my mental health and my physical health, my job doesn't love me. My job loves what I do, but they don't love me. And my job doesn't stop because I don't show up to work. My job continues, And so it's important that you find that balance between your work and your home and your mental and your physical while you're out here, Dad. You out here hustling and bustling and trying to make ends meet and, trying to keep the kids happy and the wife happy, but you still need to take care of yourself. So, like I said, my dad's advice from me to you is going to simply be, hey, take the time you need for yourself. If you're finding annoyance in something, find out why and maybe change that priority on to what the why is. And what I'm saying is I find it annoying going to work because I want to be home with my family. So let me instead of sitting here saying, oh, F work, say, hey, really be thankful for your family. For you basically saying, hey, it is annoying for me to be at work because I want to be I have somewhere else better to be. And that's okay. Like I said, I try to tell the 15-year-old with every choice comes a consequence. And sometimes you make those hard choices knowing that the consequence is going to come. So yeah, you might be dropping sick from work or you might not go to all your hours or, you might be late or whatever the case is because something came up. But don't put too much stress on the negative piece. Everybody has to know that there has to be a balance between your work, your life, your mental, and your physical health. And so you want to make sure that that is the priority. You want to make sure that that is in the forefront of like what you're doing every day. And like I said, do I still like my job? Yes. Does it provide what I needed to do? Yes. And that's about it. Like I don't love my job anymore because I have more than just my job. Not because it's gotten boring or I'm not grateful for it or I'm not thankful for it. But there's something more important than my job. And that's the reason why I find it annoying, I guess, to go to. Inconvenient, maybe. But it still provides, and I know working there, I have an obligation to fulfill. But at the same time, that job not going to stop if I don't show up. So if I don't see the signs in myself to, hey, I'm really getting stressed out here. I'm really holding on to a lot, because that's your job is to do. And that's the expectation. And it's never, ever easy to be a good man / father / husband because you're always going to be putting yourself on the back burner, because once you become a father, a husband, a provider, all your hopes and dreams go to the back burner. And it's really hard to do that. Oh, yeah. So you want to just make sure that you're taking care of yourself because when you take care of yourself, you're going to put yourself in a better situation to take care of your family. Now, pre-COVID, we were planning on leaving California, to a not so great job. But like the mental health kind of being done with California politics, California love all day. You know what I'm saying? I hit the horns for California just because, that's my state. You know what I'm saying? Horns for California, but I'm done with it. I think I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm just more about my mental health and, my family's mental health. And California is not where it's at. So we were going to leave California, make a big jump, leave a really good paying job with good benefits to go someplace that was going to give us more peace. And like I said, when you make those decisions, you do it for what is the priority. It's nice to make money, but it doesn't matter how much money you make if you sad or, you're always stressed. So you want to make sure, you're making decisions that help keep you healthy mentally and physically so that you can be there for your family. But again, also take time for yourself. So you want to make sure that, you are definitely making time for everything that's going to make you right in the head. So if that means stream, if that means game, if that means anything positive, because I'm not going to condone anything negative. I'm not going to condone no drinking and no drug use or no stuff like that. But you know what? You got a little vice. You know what I'm saying? You collect shoes or something like that, or anything of that nature. I always tell people, hey, it's better than crack. It's better that you put your energy into something that's positive than something that's negative in order to keep you level as a father, to keep you level as a husband, as a provider. And people around you may not understand it. They may not understand why you're not showing up to work as much, or they may not understand why you're not as enthusiastic to be there. They might not understand that you've been making hard decisions this whole time and, bearing this burden of being a father and being a good man, that they don't need to understand it, but you do. So, like I said, all I got to say is, make sure you're doing everything you can to take care of yourself. And sometimes, hey, not all money is good money. Sometimes you need to change up your lifestyle, be willing to make those drastic changes for your own mental health. So that's just me on my soapbox. And I think I'm going to end it on that. A couple things, the day after Thanksgiving, just be grateful, for where you're at. And, as many problems that, I know me and my family are dealing with, that's one of the things we're grateful for, is the problems that we have. Because even so, even though they are problems to us, there are people out there that would kill to have my problem. People would love to be like, damn, dude, I wish, that was my issue. So, basically be grateful, take care of yourself. Self-care is not selfish. Another thing I want to say is, pay your way or pay it forward. Again, be grateful. If anybody's sitting there taking care of you, anybody sitting there, and this is like one of those things. I was having a conversation with one of my coworkers. Somebody's taking care of you, helping take care of you, show them utmost respect. That's the same thing I had to talk to my teenager about. Pay your way. And when you get blessed and when you get, endowed with that success or whatever the case is, pay it forward. So somebody is helping you out, pay it forward, help somebody else out. Or pay your way. Earn it. Work for it. Get that mentality of like, what is it? The attitude of gratitude. Being grateful for what you have. And again, this is the day after Thanksgiving, and it's a good topic to kind of throw out there. And then especially during the holidays, what I do love about my online community is that we could network. And like I said, I had Stealth King. He's in the audience right now. And, we're just throughout the day snapping pictures back and forth of the food that we got. And for some of us, that may all that we get because we got to go to work and, things like that. But, surround yourself with people that show worth in you. Make sure you have that mental space, that mental capacity to continue. Self-care is not selfish. So if you need to do what you got to do to get your mind right, to get your physical right, you do that. Understand that every choice is going to come with a consequence, and sometimes those consequences are worth the benefit of making that choice. So anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox. I just wanted to say belated happy Thanksgiving for everybody that, again, I wasn't able to put a blast out there on time for Thanksgiving. So if you are listening to this after Thanksgiving 2020, appreciate you for coming back and checking out one of the recordings. Again, I got Stealth King 500 in the studio audience today. In the chat room, I'm gonna go ahead and put all his information down below. He's representing Shadowpack Gaming Network here on Twitch. Right. And so he just put a comment in the chat. Just make sure that box is full of soap. We definitely gonna make sure it's full of soap because it's a soap box. And again, my name is Sean Flack 2.0, the Dad's Life Podcast. We're here to educate, empower, support everybody out there that's willing to walk through these doors, listening to these recordings. But mainly, I want to focus on Dad. I want to focus on you, Dad. You're the ones that are out here, doing 100%, 1,000%, and the most underappreciated person in the world, in my opinion. Because I'm a dad and I bear a lot of burden, and I have a lot of different mentalities, different, thoughts and faults and things like that myself. So I know how hard it is. I know how hard a struggle it is for you, Dad. And I know there's a lot of groups out there that want to support Mom and they want to support Grandma, but there's anything that's out here to support us. But again, I want to say that, thank you for all the support you guys have shown me. Again, if you got any questions, comments, emotional outbursts, you guys want to collaborate on any kind of future episodes on any of these topics, just about parenting in general, because I do not discriminate. Again, Mom, I see you. I see you out there handling your business. I see you out there dealing with these badass kids, day in, day out, doing what you can to keep the house together, out there working, 1, 2 jobs, still putting a meal on the table at the end. And I see you, but like I said, I'm here for dad life. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. Again, this is your boy Sean Flack 2.0 coming at you from the studio here, live again. If any questions, comments, emotional outbursts, hit me up on Twitter. It's at Sean Flack on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube. That's Sean Flack 2.0. Or you find me here on Twitch. Streaming occasionally. I don't got a set schedule. But I, come over to the channel. That's twitch.tv/Sean Flack. Hit the heart button. And you get notifications when I go live. But you can hit me straight up with that Twitter account. And until the next episode, we'll talk to you later. Peace.